Today is a very happy day for me because the sales of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are well beyond anyone's expectations. So this video is going to break down what that means for the future of Pokemon. So here's the thing, people are not going to be happy about that. So what we need to do is get everyone to show their support. Please leave a like on the video, spread the positivity, drown out the hate, because you're going to see this craziness. You know, Pokemon is succeeding right now, and people are against that. It shows where the community is heading, how everything is so split, how people are so toxic, and I'm just here to show the positivity of Pokemon and the repercussions of what's happening now, because just days after the announcement of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, this interview happened back in June. We got information about what this could mean for the future of Pokemon, but people are still split. You know, people immediately jump to hate, jump to negativity. We don't need Pokemon Go. We can't have this influence Pokemon. It must fail. It can't succeed. Well, the problem is, it has. So this is what it means. Related to that, looking forward, do you envisage there being two series of Pokemon games? Let's say a Let's Go series and a main series like Sun and Moon. Are there going to be two, or are they going to come together again? So I'd say there's a possibility of that. Should the games sell really well, and obviously a lot of people play them, but right now we're just focusing on development. So what this says is that the next Let's Go game is going to be years off, but is also going to be a lot more developed. Because with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it was a quick reaction, and the reason why people were upset is it just wasn't what people were expecting. You know, they had this crazy Breath of the Wild, open world, incredible Pokemon experience as like the statement from Game Freak for the Nintendo Switch. So people overhyped themselves up, and because of that, they're upset at these genuinely amazing games. I consider Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee the second best Pokemon games behind Heart Gold Soul Silver because they have the same sentiment as Heart Gold Soul Silver. They want to express the spirit of Pokemon. If you're against Pokemon Let's Go, you are against the core of Pokemon. These are main series games. These are a true Pokemon adventure, and there's just as much for new players as there is for veteran players, and that is confirmed by the content of the games themselves. But the thing is, Pokemon Let's Go, or not Pokemon Let's Go, Pokemon Go came out 2016. Pokemon Let's Go came out in 2018. There was not a lot of development time from when Game Freak was like, whoa, this is actually being successful, we need to do something about this, and then the game's actually coming out. It's modified like a 7th generation engine, kind of takes the same assets, does add a little bit upon it. The gameplay does get pretty deep, but that's mostly just from like adding on to the same gameplay features and stuff. So imagine Pokemon Let's Go with an extra year and a half of development, and then taking what is going to happen with Generation 8 as they make the engine. You know, they're making a new engine most likely, if not probably kind of confirmed through Game Freak hiring selections and stuff. They take all that, and then they just throw that into Pokemon Let's Go. That's where things are going to get pretty crazy. But I don't think it's going to be, you know, Let's Go generation game, Let's Go enhanced version, Let's Go remake, or whatever the sequence is going to be. I feel like the next Let's Go game could be 2.5, 3 years away, and that's going to have like a lot of implications. So yeah, like there's this possibility that should the game sell really well. Let's go and check out another interview, this one going to October. Still a possibility in Junichi Masuda's mind. Sure, and does it suggest that you have one eye on Let's Go style games in Johto? So you know, maybe, if everyone enjoys playing these games. 10 million sales. And the thing is, Pokemon Let's Go, you cannot deny that this has been an incredibly successful game. Like, that's just sheer rationality. That is just sheer idiocy and toxicity and all the other things. Like, I hate that online culture is so nasty right now. That's why I want to support so much positivity. That's why it's like, dude, Pokemon Let's Go is succeeding. That Pokemon Let's Go has been as successful financially as any other main series Pokemon game because $60 compared to $40 on Nintendo 3DS. So that means 50% more earnings. This sells roughly compared to a 15 million unit 3DS game. But you also have to consider the Pokeball Plus, which is effectively like another game added on. So when you look at the numbers, Pokemon Let's Go with the Pokeball Plus earned as much as X and Y, Pokemon Sun and Moon. And then like when you consider price cuts and stuff too, Pokemon Sun and Moon, X and Y, as years go on, go down in price. So when you scale all that down, you know, the average price may be closer to $35, bringing this down a little closer. Pokemon Sun and Moon, all those are full $60 sales, and then outselling Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, completely decimating Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, because those got like half the sales of Pokemon Sun and Moon. So this is a big main series game for Pokemon that did as well money-wise compared. I didn't kind of add that in my video talking about the initial 10 million sales and Nintendo earnings report and stuff like that. So the future's bright. This was definitely successful, and Junichi Masuda even adding to that more. So Twitter, I'm thankful that many people around the world can play. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks to the wonderful development members, I was able to make it without giving up until the end. So, I mean, they poured a lot in this game to get out in a short amount of time. You know, I feel like people don't understand game development, that making a game, like, taking longer to develop a game doesn't necessarily mean the game is going to be better. Making a game in a short amount of time doesn't mean it's a cash grab or anything like that, because if they make a bad game, it's not going to sell, and it's going to hurt Game Freak. They made a great game. People are realizing this, and it's just like the people that just want to be nasty, the people that can't handle, they can't accept being wrong, and they're the ones that's making Pokemon worse, and they're the ones that are making Pokemon a community that people don't even want to be a part of, and it's not welcoming, and I hate that. I can't stand that. But yeah, Pokemon Pikachu, so that's kind of how they're referencing, you know, Pikachu Eevee is 10 million. Nintendo announces third quarter financial results, so yeah, like, Junichi Masuda is super happy. I think that just kind of shows what's going on here. We can also go up into the interview a bit more to kind of get an idea of what this means for the future of Pokemon as well. How do you think the core RPG players will react to the Let's Go games? I know Pokemon Go was immensely popular, but had quite a mixed reaction amongst more hardcore players. How do you appease those players, and is it more a case that they should wait for the 2019 game thereafter? So if we go down here, we can kind of see what Junichi Masuda is going for with the games and the communities and like the branchingness and all the weird stuff going on. So for me, having worked on the Pokemon main series games and Pokemon Go, both players who have enjoyed our RPGs up until now, all the fans are extremely important to me. But also, the people that have played Pokemon Go as their first Pokemon game, they are also extremely important to me. And I really want to do with these games is prevent both of these types of players from going in different directions. Like, Junichi Masuda, I feel so bad for him, but also Pokemon Let's Go succeeding also makes me feel good. It's like, yeah, crush the haters, dude. Great job. Because, like, what he wanted for Pokemon Let's Go just isn't happening in the Pokemon community. That split players even more because people just want to be hateful towards core Pokemon representation. I don't get it. You know, that this is supposed to bring people together, and that confirms Pokemon Let's Go is not made just for kids. It's not made just for Pokemon Go players. If you play Pokemon Let's Go, it is confirmed. It is objective. It is proven with the contents of the game that it is made just as much for veteran players as it is for other players. But the thing is, with all the misinformation, all the people just kind of like, you know, patting each other on the back for being against Pokemon Let's Go and just sitting out for a year and being like, well, 2019 game's the only thing that matters. Screw you guys, Game Freak. This must fail. You know, it's like, that's just sad to see that happening. And then also the thing about Pokemon Go players, people haven't played Pokemon since Blue version, Gold and Silver version, the early days of Pokemon. They came back into Pokemon because of Pokemon Go, so you can't just throw them straight into a Generation 8 game with over 900 Pokemon, Z moves, crazy mechanics, IVs, SOS, new features, Mega Evolution, all this crazy stuff. So I mean, this was supposed to bring people together, and I think that Pokemon Let's Go was very successful on that as a game. Reception, not quite, but the game, it doesn't take all this stuff seriously, and ironically, it makes a better game because of it. It's easier to get into competitive than it is for Pokemon Sun and Moon. The competitive is more balanced in Pokemon Let's Go than Pokemon Sun and Moon. That it's so much more accessible to everyone, and I don't understand how anyone can be upset at that. You have a better competitive game that's easier to get into, but no items and abilities, so it's bad. Idiots are ruining the Pokemon community, and we just can't stand for that. Again, support, share everything you've got, because like, yeah, this comment, I'm offended by it. A lot of people were upset about it, but you can see where Junichi Masuda is going with that, you know. I know that a lot of people have spent a lot of time hatching eggs. They've hatched a lot of eggs. We want them to kind of discover new ways to enjoy Pokemon games. The problem is you've made hatching eggs the only way to enjoy competitive Pokemon games forever. You introduced the Masuda method. It's named after you. You made it to where that egg hatching is more efficient than hyper training. Like, you can see they added hyper training to try to guide players away from only hatching millions of eggs and stuff and then trying to reduce the time. But thing is, hyper training takes longer to get a competitive Pokemon than it does to just breed. You have SOS only giving you 4 IVs instead of 5 or 6. So guaranteeing more IVs is how you do it. And fortunately, with the catch combos being kind of low, it's not hard to get a 5 or 6 IV Pokemon on Let's Go. You can get a competitive Pokemon ready in less than an hour. Do that for a team of 6, 1 to 2 days, you're done. I did a video getting all the Pokemon level 100 and hyper training them. You're done. You can get teams super fast, and the game is much more balanced when you actually get into the competitive side of things. It's ironic that more Pokemon are usable with just Kanto, then Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon's meta. That's just fact from when you experience and play the games. Like, some of these interviews, I will admit, are concerning because it is, like, split and it just seems contradictory to the reality. But when you try to factor in, like, the overall performance, Pokemon Let's Go being an undeniable success, and the direction that Junichi Masuda wants to have, I really liked Pokemon Let's Go as a nostalgic Pokemon adventure. I like Pokemon adventures. I like experiences. I don't like Pokemon games. Pokemon Sun and Moon felt like a game. Pokemon Omega Ruby Sapphire, a bit more like an adventure. Pokemon X and Y, more like a game. Pokemon Black and White, just terrible overall. But Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was just a true Pokemon experience. And that's what people need to do. They needed to not take it seriously. They needed to just buy it, play it, and find their passion for Pokemon again. If you're against Pokemon Let's Go, you don't have passion for Pokemon. It's really hard to call yourself a fan if you're just against such a beautiful representation of what Pokemon is about. So what would make me happiest is if Pokemon Go players and traditional Pokemon RPG players come together, throwing out Pokeballs together, either with Joy-Con or using their smartphones, really enjoying Pokemon together. Pokemon Let's Go is a game to bring everyone together, and it didn't. That just shows the problems in Pokemon more than the problems in Game Freak, more than the problems in Let's Go, and people don't want justice. PokeTubers, they don't want to do it. They'd rather be caught up in their own agendas and stuff. Like, it's sad that I'm really the only passionate PokeTuber left. So I think that's kind of how we end the video. I wish it was a bit more positive, but I mean, like, it's so mixed right now. My emotions are so mixed because you look back on interviews and they get new meaning every time we get new information, or every time we see how the games end up performing, how development goes on, how the future changes the past in a way in these situations. And it's super awesome because, like, yeah, get smacked, haters. You know, your negativity, your nastiness, it doesn't belong in Pokemon anyways. And the success of Pokemon Let's Go is rewarding to a lot of people that were holding out and trying to find hope in the Pokemon community. So that's really nice right there. But then it's like, you can see that it has all these different things, and that's kind of it. So as for the future, I think this has to confirm, you know, Pokemon Let's Go, something happening at some point. Are they going to try to make a new game? Maybe not a new region, or maybe a new region, but not a new generation of Pokemon. Are they going to try to tell different stories? Are they just going to update older regions? Because, you know, if you get into Pokemon Generation 8, over 900 new Pokemon coming in and all kinds of other different things, you know, and then we're also worrying about Generation 4 remakes as well. There's so much out there for Pokemon that you can just have like non-stop content, just recycling and rebooting different parts of the game. You know, if there was Generation 4 remakes into Pokemon Let's Go Johto after Pokemon 2019, I still find that successful. Then we go into Generation 9, so you're getting new players in, you're keeping new players happy, you're keeping older Pokemon fans engaged, and then you're also keeping a simpler underlying main series in the Pokemon Let's Go, just kind of for everyone. And I think that would kind of be like a really weird but successful way that Game Freak can do it, and we just have to see where the future goes. Let's say 2.5, 3 years for the next Let's Go game, and that's when the future of Pokemon is really determined. But right now, everything's on table, and it's all because Pokemon Let's Go did really well. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.